Hey, this is Financial Literacy Lecture Section 7.9. I went ahead and wrote out the first little amount of notes for you, so feel free to pause the video and write this down, then I'll talk through them. Alright, so this is about retirement income. It's a really practical section and really important that you start to learn about these kinds of things, even though retirement for you is a long ways away. As I showed in a previous personal guide, if you start saving for retirement in your 20s, you will be very wealthy in your 60s. So some examples of retirement income: Social Security benefits. That's a lot of people, that's all they have. Pensions. Pensions typically don't exist anymore unless you work for the government in some way. So teachers, police, fire, other kind of government workers, sometimes government contractors will receive pensions, but it's a guaranteed amount of income that you get every month in retirement, and you contribute along the way to the pension fund. Individual retirement accounts: anyone that makes under a certain amount of money can contribute to that. And I talked about that in a previous personal guide, and I will talk about it again in a future personal guide. And then there are other types of retirement accounts, like a 401k, which I have talked about, 403b, which typically is for teachers, and a lot of times healthcare workers. Nonprofits, like a hospital that's a nonprofit, they'll contribute to a 403b. So I'm gonna put together a personal guide for those kind of things for you in the future. But first, let's turn to page 323, and we'll work example A. All right, so that says Jane Eiler will receive $1,620 in pension and $900 from Social Security each month when she retires at age 65. She wants her monthly retirement income to be $4,000. What percent to the nearest tenth of a percent of her $350,000 IRA? So she has contributed over the years to an individual retirement account, and there's $350,000 in it when she hit age 65. So must she withdraw monthly to reach the monthly income she wants? All right, so this is a good exercise to do. So she wants $4,000. All right, so she has, in pension and Social Security, she had $1,620. That was her pension. And then she had $900 from Social Security. And then she has $350,000 in an IRA, and she needs to know what percent of that should she withdraw to get up to $4,000. So we're going to solve for X. So 350,000 times X, and X will give us the percent that she needs to withdraw from the 350,000. Okay, so let's subtract 1620 and 900 from 4,000. We'll put that on the left, so that'd be 1480 equals 350,000 times X. So X is 1480 over 350,000, and that would be 0.0042. Now that's a decimal. We need to convert that to percent. So times 100, and that's 0.42% of her IRA that she needs to withdraw every month to get to the $4,000. All right. Let's look at, so we're still in 7.9.1. Just real quick, this is a real fast example. Example B on page, it's right underneath, so the same page on page 323. So in example B, we're going to be referring to the table on the previous page. So this one says Abner Duncan started investing $5,000 in an IRA when he was 30. The account has earned a steady 6% growth each year. Find out how much money Abner has in his IRA at age 60. Well, if you'll look at the previous table, this is a table that tells you how much growth that you have if it earns 6%. And he started at age 30, and we want to know what he has at age 60. So that'd be 30 years. So you look for the 30 years, and it's going to be 395,297. So you'll need to refer to that maybe for one or two of your homework problems. So that's from table on page 322. All right, so let's move on to section 7.9.2. So this is called pension income. So if you are fortunate enough to work for usually a government entity and be able to get a pension, sometimes super large companies also might do a pension, but not very often anymore. First of all, a defined contribution plan. So this is just some vocab you need to know. So defined contribution plan is the amount received at retirement depends on how your investments perform. Okay, so if your investments do well, then you're going to get more in retirement. Now, I don't think that's really nearly as common as the defined benefit plan. Although this type of pension is going to be easier to maintain, defined benefit plan, these kind of pensions a lot of times can get in trouble, but it pays a specific amount. At retirement. Usually depending on how many years you contribute. So if you're a teacher and you teach for 30 years and you contribute for 30 years, then you'll make more than if you only teach for 15 years. You know, the military is also, if you do the 20 years in the military, you'll receive a pension. So at least as far as that goes, military is a very good career. All right, pause the video if you need to, and I'll work a couple more example problems. All right, the next one is example C on page 324. Pull that into view. So that one says Keisha Turner is retiring after 30 years with her firm. Her pension fund pays 1.9% of her average salary for the last 4 years for each year of service. That part's really important. Each year of service. So you're going to have to do some from your homework like this. So you'll need to refer back to this example. Her annual salary for the last 4 years was $71,000, $74,000, $75,000, $77,000. We'll have to take the average of those. What's her average salary for the last 4 years? What's the total pension rate? And what monthly pension amount will she receive? So you have to do all three of those to get the monthly pension amount. All right, so let's do the easy one first. Let's get her average salary. So that's going to be $71,000 plus $74,000 plus $75,000. She only got a little raise that year. Plus $77,000 over 4. So that's going to be $74,250. So that's step one. Now the pension amount, or excuse me, the pension rate, we'll get the amount next. It says is 1.9% for every year she works. Well, she worked 30 years. So 30 years times 1.9%, that's 57%. So she's going to get 57% of that salary every year. That'll be her month, her pension amount. So this is her annual pension amount. So that will be $74,000. Her average salary, $250, times 57%. So this is really the kind of practical math that you'll need to be doing in your daily life. So $42,322.50. All right, that's her annual pension amount, but it asks for what's her monthly pension check going to be? We're just going to divide that by 12. So $42,322.50 over 12, and that's $3526.88. That's not bad. You add Social Security to that, and you've got a pretty comfortable retirement income if you don't live in a super expensive part of the country. You live in New York City, maybe that's not so great. All right, and example D. This one takes up a lot less space. So example D, let me pull that into view. All right, it says Juan Villano's union pension fund provides for $5 a month at age 65 for each $130 he's contributed. When he retired at 65, he contributed $96,000 to the fund. So what's his monthly pension amount? That does seem a fair way to do it, to make it based on how much you contribute. So he had contributed $96,000. All right, and the pension provides $5 per every $130. So you take $96,000, divide it by 130, and then multiply that by $5. All right, and that is $36.92.31. That is a really good pension for only contributing $96,000. So that's a very generous company or government entity in that case. So that'd be a really good plan to get into. Okay, let's pause if you need to, and we'll finish this section up. All right, section 7.9.3 is retirement withdrawals. So this section talks about the government rules when you are withdrawing from the tax benefit retirement accounts. All right, so you must be age 59 and a half. All right, so I've got about 6 years, and I can start withdrawing from mine. To withdraw from traditional Now, I'll do a personal guide in the future talking about what a traditional IRA is, but for now, just it's a individual retirement account that the government allows you to contribute to. But if you withdraw money before you're 59 and a half, it's a 10% penalty. So that's painful. In addition, you're going to be taxed on it, but a 10% penalty right off the top. So that's why I don't want to withdraw from my accounts at all, because I'll have to pay that penalty. Withdrawals are required once you reach age 70 and a half. Now that is from the book. This has recently, and when I say recently, I mean this past summer 2020, recently increased to age 72. So you don't have to withdraw till 72. The book uses 70 and a half, so that's what I want you to use in homework. Use this age and on the test, okay? But it's been increased to 72, which is a good thing. I'm really happy about that. So you need to pay the table on page 324. We're going to refer to that for our example problem. So example E on page 325. So let me get that into view. Says Prasam Shinawatra is 72. His IRA investment holds $396,100. What minimum amount must he withdraw this year? Okay, so what you do is you go back to this table. So if I do any of these on the test, I'll provide this table for you. At age 72, your divisor's 25.6. Okay, 25.6. So it says he has $396,100 in his retirement account. So from table on page 324, the way you figure that out is his total amount that he has, $396,100, and divide it by that number in the table. And as you get older, that number starts to go down, okay? But 396,100 over 25.6, that's $15,472.66. He has to withdraw at least that much, or because he will get taxed on that. The government wants its taxes because from this individual retirement account, you don't pay taxes on it until you withdraw it. So they force you to start withdrawing it so they can get their taxes. All right, let's finish this thing up with example F. So these last two are really easy. Carl Schmidt withdrew $12,500 from his IRA at age 46. So he's under 70, and he's under age 59 and a half, right? So he's going to get a penalty. What penalty did he pay? Well, it's a 10% penalty. So 12,500 times 10%, or 0.1. So he has to pay a penalty. In addition to taxes, he has to send the government a check for $1,250 because he withdrew it before 59 and a half. All right, that is all for section 7.9. Got one personal guide to go, and that'll be it for the lectures in chapter 7.